Greetings, yogis. My name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga, and thank you for joining me for class today. Today is Wednesday, so we have a level 1 focused Vinyasa class. In our level 1 class, we build a little bit off of our fundamentals, start to introduce a little bit more of advanced postures and movements. But I still provide a lot of modifications, so it's accessible for most people for practice. And this week we've been working on our pyramid pose. So if you were in class yesterday, Tuesday, for our fundamentals, we kind of broke down all the different ways to approach it and a lot of the different component parts and key actions to keep in mind as you approach the pose. As far as pyramid pros, at least for me, it was always kind of challenging. It looks very simple to get into, but there's so many different things to take into account, and it's not until you try it and line yourself up, I'll say, in the best way possible till you really get the full effect from it. It's a nice challenge. So that's what we'll be working on today. 60 minutes, and as far as blocks or props, blocks will actually help today. So if you have them, just keep them nearby. If you don't have blocks, you can use boxes or books around the same height, or even like two water bottles that are the same height. Anything that can just support most of your weight with your hands on them. Otherwise, if you don't have blocks, don't worry, they're not super necessary, but they do come in handy. So if you have them, just place them up at the top of your mat for now. And also, I apologize if anyone had any issues connecting to the stream today. YouTube just changed the way they advertise and set up their stream, and so I had trouble getting it started today. But I think I should have it moving forward. So my apologies if that threw anyone off connecting today. But it looks like there's 3 people on, at least for now, so that's cool. Yes, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Come into a nice cross-legged seat. I should say actually any seat that you'd like. So if you want to come into a bound angle with the bottoms of your feet together, or just have your legs crossed, or if you're one that likes to sit on your heels with your knees down, just come into any nice little comfortable seat. And we'll just take a couple minutes to kind of settle into our class here. So just choose what works for you. If you cross your legs, a minute or two from now, we'll switch the crossing. And so once you start to settle in, try to root your sit bones down and rise up through the crown of your head. And just gently open your chest and soften your shoulders down. So I'll invite you to either soften your gaze or close your eyes completely and just allow yourself to start transitioning into your practice today. You can help transition yourself by beginning to deepen your breathing. Start by noticing your inhales and your exhales. Maybe taking note of the comparison between the two. Maybe your inhales are a little bit longer than your exhales. Maybe it's vice versa. And also observe how your air flows in and out. Is it naturally flowing in through your nostrils or through your mouth? And take note how you're exhaling as well. See how your ribs expand on your inhales. Your collarbones and shoulders may drop on your exhales. Just take another minute here to start settling in. Now that you've kind of brought some awareness to your breath, started to settle in, start to consciously try to deepen your breathing, just ever so slowly, extending your inhales and lengthening your exhales. And as you do this, still try and keep a nice long spine. Allowing yourself to fully fill up the chest as the ribs expand when you inhale. And when you exhale, fully release. Just let everything out. Just take 3 more slow, deep breaths on your own. Take one more deep breath. And just gently let yourself return back to normal breathing. You can gently start to blink your eyes open if they were closed. And if you were sitting with your legs crossed, go ahead and switch the crossing of your legs. Bring the opposite foot in front. Now, whatever seat you have, let's release the arms down to the side. Let's start by warming up the shoulders. So let's turn the palms out. Let's inhale, raise the arms up overhead. Soften the shoulders. Exhale, turn the palms out and down. Release down to the sides. 3 more times, just like this. Raising the arms up overhead. And exhale, turn the palms out and down. Keep doing that 2 more times. I have a little 2-year-old, my godson. He watches some of my videos, and this is his favorite part of the video. So every time I see him, he raises his arms up overhead, and that's how he recognizes me. So I always try and incorporate this into the sequences just for him. So soften your arms back down to the sides, and we'll add a little bit of a twist. So let's inhale, raise the arms up overhead, palms face each other, soften the shoulders down. Exhale, turn to your right, release both arms down to the outside of that right thigh. Coming back up to center, on your inhale, both arms overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, turn to your left, release the arms down to the side. One more time, each side. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, turn to the right, releasing both arms down. Inhale, arms overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, turn to the left, release those arms down. Let's inhale, come back to center, both arms up overhead. Stay with your arms up, soften those shoulders down. Try and hug the navel in and back. Draw the tailbone down. We'll add a side lean here. So begin by turning the right palm out, releasing the right arm down. Either fingertips or palm comes to the mat. And inhale, lengthen, send the crown of your head and the left fingertips up to the sky. Exhale, side bend to the right. So again, you can stay in whatever seat you have, either legs crossed or hips on heels or feet bound together. And depending on where your seat is, you can start to walk your hand out, walk your fingertips out. Just try and keep both sit bones rooted, either to the mat or to your heels. Keeping the bicep next to the ear. And if you'd like, turn your neck to look up at those fingertips. Keep lengthening both sides of the torso, keeping the chest nice and open, squared to the front. Stay for one more breath. Now inhale, bring both arms back up to center. Raise the torso back up. And exhale, turn the left palm out. Release the left arm down this time. Fingertips are palms to the mat. Inhale, raise the crown of your head up, right fingertips up to the sky. Use that length and exhale, side bend over to the left. So we're not really twisting here, we're just side bending, keeping our pelvis and our shoulders still neutral, facing forward. Again, if you'd like, you can walk those left fingertips out, but keep that right sit bone rooted. Try to keep the bicep next to the ear. You can turn your neck to look up at those fingertips if you like. Stay for 2 breaths here. Lengthening both sides of the body. One more breath. And let's inhale back to center. Bring both arms up overhead. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Okay, so if your legs are crossed, go ahead and switch the crossing again. Just trying to balance out both sides here. And our shoulders are a little loose, so we're coming into a couple different arm variations that we'll practice throughout our class here. So the different arm variations, I'll turn around so you can see. You can stay in whatever seat you are. First option is to clasp your fingers behind your back. So send your arms back, interlace your fingers, bring the wrists together, and then start to straighten your arms down so the fingertips come down towards the mat. That's option 1. Another option, you can grab your opposite elbows. And third option, just bring your hands to your low back, fingers face down, elbows drawing towards each other. Now, whichever option you choose, clasping your fingers or your elbows, most likely when you're drawing your elbows in towards each other and your hands down your back, the chest is going to pop out. So we'll try and correct that by hugging the navel in and back, draw the tailbone down, and try and breathe into the back ribs to create a nice long spine. So let's take a nice deep inhale here and exhale. So we'll add some forward folds here if you'd like. Otherwise, just stay where you are. So if you want to add your forward fold, inhale as you open the chest, send the crown of the head up, and exhale, start to hinge forward. Maybe release your forehead to the mat, but we'll inhale, come right back up to center. And exhale, hinge forward. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, lift yourself back up. Use those abdominal muscles. Exhale, hinge forward. Keep drawing the elbows in. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, lift yourself back up. Release the clasp of your arms. And just shake your arms out a little bit. Again, if your legs are crossed, go ahead and switch the crossing of your legs. And we'll repeat that process. So send the arms behind you again, either clasp the fingers or grab opposite elbows. But this time, if you clasp your fingers, have the opposite thumb on top. If you grab your elbows, grab the opposite, have the opposite forearm on top. So we're just switching that up a little bit. And we'll do the same thing. If you're just staying right here, stay here. Otherwise, we'll add our forward fold. So we inhale as we open the chest and the crown of the head up towards the sky. And exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, lift back up to center. Exhale, hinge forward. Again, if you just want to stay up, you can. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift up, keep drawing that navel in and back, breathing to the back ribs. Exhale, hinge forward. 1 more time. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, hinge forward. Inhale as you lift yourself back up. Release the arms out, shake them out a little bit. And we'll come forward into tabletop. So you can come forward over your knees, or you can send your legs off to the side. Just meet me in tabletop. And in our tabletop, our wrists are nice and parallel with the mat, directly underneath the shoulders. Knees are underneath the hips, tops of the feet to the mat. So the legs are a little bit closer here. You can gaze down in between both thighs, and your feet should pretty much be hidden behind your thighs. Try and hug the navel in and up to create a nice long spine, just like when we were seated. And slight tuck of the chin gazes up towards the top of the mat. Fingers are nice and spread, gently pressing down through the base of each finger and each palm. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. We'll add our cow-cats here. So start by inhaling, dropping the navel, tailbone lifts, heart comes forward, look up, cow pose. Reversing that exhale as you round the back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy, cat pose. 3 more times each way on your breath. So inhale through your cow, let the navel drop, heart lifts up. And exhale, rounding the back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy. Just keep moving on your breath. Use it as an opportunity to connect your breath to your movement. And then when you finish, just meet me back in tabletop. Nice neutral spine, gently hugging the navel in and up. Okay, from here we'll add our arm and leg variation. So begin by curling the left toes under, extend and straighten that left leg back. Option to keep the left toes on the mat, or you can raise the left thigh up to hip height. Either way, you're pressing that heel back with the toes flexed, so the toes face down towards the mat. Spin the inner left thigh in and up towards the sky, and now add your right arm forward. Option to have your right fingertips stay on the mat, or the arm can come up to shoulder height, pinky down, thumb up. Send your arm out just like you're shaking someone's hand. We don't really do that anymore these days. Keep your bicep next to your ear. Keep hugging the navel in and up. Press back through that left heel and extend those fingertips forward for 1 more breath. And exhale as you gently release. Back to your tabletop. Just recenter your hips, and we'll come to the other side. So curling the right toes under, extend and straighten that right leg back. Option to keep the toes on the mat, or if you'd like, lift that right thigh up to hip height, flexing the toes so the toes face down towards the mat. Spin the inner right thigh in and up towards the sky. That keeps the knee facing down towards the mat. And then the left arm comes forward. Either fingertips can stay on the mat with the arm straightened, or the left arm comes up to shoulder height, bicep next to ear. Thumb up, pinky down. Again, try and square your shoulders to the mat, same as your pelvis. Each side of your shoulder and your pelvis is equidistant from the mat, keeping it nice and neutral. Keep pressing back through that right heel as you extend those left fingertips forward. Hug that navel in and up for 1 more breath. And exhale, gently release back down to your tabletop. All right, now in your tabletop, we'll come into gate pose. So We'll start by extending the right leg out to the side. I'll turn so you can see me a little better. So from your tabletop, extend your right leg out to the side. Start with your knee bent and your foot entirely on the mat. Now, once you have your entire foot on the mat and the toes facing out towards the right, start to walk that foot out, maybe to close to straighten the leg or just keeping your knee bent. You just want your entire foot to stay on the mat. So my knee's still bent a little bit here. And then start to walk your hands back and lift your torso up. So now you're on your left knee with your right leg out to the side, right toes face directly outwards. If you want to start walking that foot out a little bit more, again, just try and have the entire foot down on the mat. Now really press down through the ball of that right big toe. When you do that, try and draw this right kneecap up in towards the hip to really start to engage this quadricep. Release the right arm down, just gently on top of that right knee, right thigh, and raise the left arm up to the sky. The left palm faces towards the right. So we'll add a side lean here, just like when we were seated. So try and have everything nice and in line. Take a nice deep inhale as you lengthen, and exhale, side bend over to the right side. So you can imagine there are like two walls, one in front of you, one behind you, and they're trying to smush you together. So try and get as much in line, knees, hips, toes, shoulders, head. Keep creating length through both sides of the body. Let's stay here for one more breath. Keep pressing down through that big toe. Draw that kneecap up. And let's inhale back to center. Bring both arms up overhead. Palms face each other. Soften the shoulders down. And exhale, hands down through center. And release your hands back down. Bring that knee back in to meet the left. Back in your tabletop. Recenter your hips here for a moment. And now let's switch to the other side. Now I'll extend my left leg out. The whole bottom of that left foot comes down towards the mat. Left toes face out towards the left. Maybe start to walk those toes out a little bit. And then walk your hands back, lifting your torso back up. So you have your right knee, right hip, right shoulder all stacked. And again, imagine yourself being squished like a pancake in between. Maybe you walk those toes out a little bit more. And then again, try and draw this left kneecap up in towards your left hip, really starting to engage that quadricep. That helps to protect the knee here. Now gently just release that left arm to the left thigh or left knee, right arm up to the sky. We'll inhale as we lengthen through the spine, and exhale, side bend over to the left. So again, no twisting here. Try and keep your shoulders and your pelvis facing forward. Keep that bicep next to the ear. You can, if you like, turn your neck to look up at those fingertips, but try and keep your spine nice and long, lengthening through both sides of the torso. Keeping the chest nice and open, softening the shoulders down. Keep pressing into the ball of that left big toe, lifting that kneecap up. Stay for one more breath. And now inhale, bring both arms up to center. Exhale, hands down through center and arms down. Come back into your tabletop. And from your tabletop, arms under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Let's curl the toes under. With the toes curled under, let's lift the hips up and back. Come into our first downward facing dog here. Normally, I suggest you move in your down dog any which way. This one's going to be a little bit more of a controlled movement. So have your feet hips width distance. And normally in our down dog, we press our heels back and down. This time I want you to lift your heels up. Come up on your toes. So lift your heels up as much as you can. And then gently release your heels back down towards the mat. Let's go back and forth in between that. So we lift the heels up, pressing the toes into the mat. And exhale, pressing the heels back and down. Let's do that 3 more times. So heels lift. You're still pressing the chest back towards the thighs. And the heels lower. 2 more times on your breath. This is too much for you. Just release back down to your knees. And you can pedal out your legs or your toes here, one by one. Let's do 1 more here. And then release your heels back down towards the mat. So the heels press back and down. Slight bend in the knees. And inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees even more. Exhale, gently walk or step to the top of the mat. At the top of the mat, feet or hips width distance, heels behind the center toes, stay in your forward fold. Knees can be slightly bent. Let your arms and your head hang heavy here. Coming into your ragdoll pose, grab opposite elbows. Let your head hang heavy in between both arms. Slight tuck of the chin.
Again, you can bend your knees a little bit more if you'd like. Make this more of a low back release rather than a hamstring stretch. And if you're one that likes to gently sway from side to side, go for it. Maybe slightly bend one knee more than the other as you sway from side to side. Let's switch to whichever forearm is on top, grabbing the opposite elbow. And come back to center. Release the clasp of your elbows. Let your head hang heavy, arms hang heavy. We'll come up to standing nice and slow though. So press your feet into the mat, spin the inner thighs in and back, and start to gently raise up, stacking one vertebrae at a time. Pressing your feet down, lifting yourself up nice and slowly.
Once you come up to standing, let's just roll those shoulders up and back a couple times. And then slow that down. Let's roll back and forward. All right, coming back to the top of your mat, feet hips width distance, heels behind the center toes. Let's place your hands at your hips, thumbs behind, fingers and forward. To help us with our mountain pose here, make sure with your feet hips width distance, those heels are behind those center toes. So feet are nice and parallel. Use your thumbs to draw your tailbone down, fingers to lift the frontal hip points up. Broaden those collarbones and soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Keep all of that and just extend and straighten the arms down by the sides, palms face forward. Chin is parallel with the mat. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. One more inhale before we move. And exhale. Here we go. Let's inhale, raise the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold, releasing your arms down. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, lift halfway, hands to the shins. Nice flat back, looking to be parallel with the mat. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Coming back up to stand, press down through your feet. Inhale, lift the arms out and up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Let's repeat that one more time. Inhale, raise the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips, forward fold, knees can slightly bend. Place your hands at the tops of your shins. Inhale, lift up halfway, torso parallel with the mat. Extend through all sides of the torso. And slight bend in the knees. Exhale as you forward fold again. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, arms out and up. Come back up to standing, arms overhead. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Let's add on to that. So inhale, bring the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Press your palms down. Stay in your forward fold, keeping your wrists underneath your shoulders. Now step your right foot back, step your left foot back in your plank pose. We're holding plank pose for 3 breaths. You always have the option to drop your knees down. Either way, shoulders over the wrist, tailbone draws down towards your heels, pressing the heels back down towards the mat. Separating the shoulder blades and drawing them down your back for one more breath. Now everyone drop to your knees, shift the torso forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat, forehead down. Bring the tops of your feet to the mat. Press your feet down, hips down. Inhale, lift your head up, chest up, baby cobra. Releasing that tailbone down, keep the bottom ribs on the mat. Hug the ankles in, elbows in, stay for one more breath, sending the heart forward. And exhale, gently release the forehead down. Curl the toes under with the knees down. Press yourself up into plank pose with your knees down. And then lift the hips up and back, come into your downward facing dog. Stay in your down dog for 3 breaths. Keep hugging the triceps in, pressing the chest back towards the thighs. Again, you always have the option to drop down to your knees, come into tabletop instead. We're just here for one more breath. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Feet hips width distance. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, raise the arms out and up, overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hands down through center and down to the side. Stay for a nice deep breath here. And exhale. All right, Let's press down through our feet. Inhale, raise the arms back up overhead. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Stay in your forward fold. Keep your left foot forward. Step your right leg back. So you're in your high lunge here. From your high lunge, drop your right heel down, coming into our warrior 2 feet here. So right toes are slightly forward than right heel, and we want heel to arch alignment. So heel toe that left foot over to the center of your mat so that you have your left heel intersecting with your right arch. Keeping that left knee on top of the left ankle, left arm to the inside edge of that left thigh, right arm up to the sky, press down through your feet, and inhale, lift up into your warrior 2. Softening down, arms shoulder height, palms face down, fingertips extend away from your body. You can turn your neck to look over those left fingertips, stay for a breath. Now we'll make this dynamic. So let's inhale as we straighten that front leg, bring both arms overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, rebend, warrior 2. 3 more times. Inhale, arms overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, warrior 2. 2 more times. Make sure when you're bending that knee tracks to the outside edge of that left foot. Last time, arms overhead, and exhale, rebend, warrior 2. Coming into Trikonasana pose. So gaze over those left fingertips. Make sure your shoulders are squared to the long edge side of your mat. Keep the arms at shoulder height. Straighten that front leg. Send the hips back, and send the left arm forward, extending the torso forward. When you can't go any further, release that left arm down, either to either side of that shin, or if you have your block, you can place your block to the inside or outside edge of that left thigh, that left shin. And then raise the right arm up to the sky. Try and stack the shoulders on top of each other. Keep pressing down through that left big toe. And again, try and draw that left kneecap up into that left hip. Really engage in that left quadricep. Press back to the outer edge of that right foot. Again, open the chest. Maybe the gaze comes up to look at those right fingertips with the palm facing forward. Staying for one more breath. Your Trikonasana triangle pose here. And now slight bend in the front knee. Inhale, lift yourself back up. Fully bend that front knee, come back into your warrior 2. Let's reverse our warrior. Left palm up to the sky. Release the right arm back. Inhale, side bend over the right, left arm to the sky. And exhale, spiral both arms forward and down. Stay low. Place your block off to the side. And start to walk your hands to the right so that you face the long edge side of your mat. And then you parallel your feet. So you're in a wide-legged fold here. Now slight bend in the knees. Place your hands at your hips. Press down through your feet. And inhale, lift up. So we're in a wide-legged fold here. Make sure your feet are nice and parallel. Just like in our mountain pose, it's just your feet are separated out. Bring your hands to your hips, thumbs back, fingers forward. Use your thumbs to draw your tailbone down, fingers to lift your frontal hip points up. Now keep all of that. We'll add a forward fold. You have the option to add that bind behind your back, just like we practiced before. So if you want to clasp your fingers behind your back, or grab opposite elbows, or place your hands on your low back. Either way, open your chest, send the crown of your head towards the sky, release that tailbone down, take a nice deep inhale, and exhale, start to hinge forward into your forward fold. Keep drawing those kneecaps up, engaging the quadriceps. Helps protect the knees and gives you strength to hold your stability here. Once you come down about halfway, you can release your neck, slight tuck of the chin, and start to send weight more into the toes, but keep the heels on the mat. Keep firming the legs in towards each other. And keep drawing the shoulders down your back, elbows draw in towards each other. We're staying here for 2 more breaths. Just 1 more breath here. Now slight bend in the knees, press down through your feet, release your arms, lift up halfway, hands to the shins. Press down through your feet even more and lift yourself back up, raising your torso back up. Okay, we're adding 1 more wide-legged forward fold here. So if you were clasping your hands behind your back, you can grab whichever forearm, switch to whichever is on top, or if you're clasping your fingers, opposite finger on top. If your fingers are clasped, wrists touch, elbows drawing towards each other as the arms draw down your back. Inhale, opening the chest, send the crown of the head up towards the sky. And exhale, hinge forward, come into your forward fold, number 2. Again, shifting the weight into the toes, firming the legs in towards each other, drawing the kneecaps up towards the hips. Keep opening your chest, but you can have a slight tuck of the chin to release that neck. And really try and lift your hips up towards the sky. We're staying here just for one more breath. Now gently release your arms down to the mat. Lift up halfway with a slight bend in your knees. Stay low. And we'll start to walk our hands off to the right. So now we're walking towards probably the back edge of your mat. Come into your high or your low lunge with your right foot forward, left foot back. So we'll come into our warrior 2 footing here. So we drop their left heel down, left toes are slightly forward, and heel toe the right foot over so you have heel to arch alignment. Right foot to the inside edge of that right thigh, left arm up to the sky, press down through your feet, inhale, lift up into your warrior 2. Settle in for a moment here as you square your shoulders to the long edge side of your mat. Gaze comes over those right fingertips, right knee over that right ankle. Now on your inhale, let's straighten that front leg, bring both arms overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, warrior 2. Again, 3 times, just like that. So we inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, warrior 2. Keep going. It's a good reinforcement when you're re-bending that front knee to make sure that knee is tracking to the outside edge of that right foot, towards the pinky side edge. And exhale, warrior 2. Stay in your warrior 2 here for a moment. Keep your arms just as they are. Straighten that front leg. Lower body stays just as it is. Send the hips back and send the right arm forward. Torso comes with it. When the right arm can't come any further, release that right arm to the inside or outside edge of that right shin or to a block, and then raise the left arm directly up towards the sky, fingertips up. Try and stack your shoulders, really open up your chest. Firm that outer right hip in, and try and spin that inner left thigh back. Press down through that right big toe, drawing this right kneecap up into that hip. Really open up the chest here. Press back through that outer left edge of that left foot. One more breath here. Now a slight bend in the knee as you lift yourself back up. Fully bend the knee back into your warrior 2. We'll reverse our warrior. Right palm up, raise the right arm up to the sky, left arm behind. Side bend over the left side body. And then exhale, spiral the arms forward and down. Bring both palms to either side of that right foot. Come up on that back left heel. Send the right foot to meet the back foot. Let's drop our knees to the mat. Shift our torso forward. Bend the elbows over all the way to the mat. Top to the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. Releasing the tailbone down, drawing the elbows in, hugging the ankles in for one more breath. Exhale, gently release. Curling the toes under, keep the knees down, lift your hips up. And then lift all the way back up into your downward facing dog. Stay for 3 breaths in your down dog. Keep pressing your chest back towards your thighs, spinning the inner thighs in and up towards the sky. Firming those triceps in for one more breath. Now inhale as you gaze forward, bend the knees. This time walk your hands back to your feet. So keep the feet where they are, walk your hands back to your feet. Realize that most of us are probably facing the back edge of our mat. So walking your hands back to your feet, let's just do a 180. So let's turn towards the front edge of our mat, like that little transition. So we're now at the front of our mat, feet are hips width distance. Let's inhale as we lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat, inhale back up to standing, arms up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Take a nice deep inhale here. And exhale. All right. So we're now at the top of the mat with that fun little transition. This time we'll bring our big toes touch and our heels separate. From here, release your arms down to the sides, palms face forward. You're going to draw that tailbone down, lift those frontal hip points up. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Let's come into our chair pose. So knees bend, hips come back, arms come forward, palms face each other. Make sure you can gaze down and see your toes. If you can't, shift the hips back a little bit more. Try and have your biceps next to your ears, but create a nice long spine, so avoid arching or rounding here. Keep hugging the legs in towards each other. Knees should stay connected, firming the outside thighs in. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, hinge forward into your forward fold. Let's inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms down. This is where if you have your blocks, place them to either side of your mat. And place your hands either on the blocks or just on the mat. We'll keep the left foot forward and step the right leg back. From here, drop your right knee down. So again, if you have your blocks, they can be underneath your hands. If not, your fingertips or palms come down to the mat. So this is our starting location in our low lunge with our knee directly, our left knee on top of our left ankle, and our right knee is down, but it's not directly below the hips, it's farther back. What that will allow us to do is you can start to shift your hips back. As you shift your hips back, only come so far as keeping your hip on top of your knee, and then as the front leg straightens, those left toes flex and come back toward your face. So we'll inhale as we draw back forward, knee over ankle, and exhale, hinge back, hips over knee. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, shifting forward, knee over ankle, send the heart, open it up, and exhale, hinge back, hips over knee. Send that knee forward. Let's just do this 1 more time. So send the hips back over the knee, flexing the toes, and then come forward, left knee over left ankle. Stay low, release the right arm to the underneath that right shoulder. Again, it can be on the block where fingertips or palm can come to the mat. Extend the left arm out to the side, left palm faces down. And inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, twist from the navel up. Add a twist here. So left fingertips come up towards the sky. Try and stack your shoulders. Left palm faces forward. Keep hugging the legs in towards each other, staying for 1 more breath. And exhale, gently release that left arm down. Let's place that block off to the side, both palms down. With those right toes curled under, press back, lift that right knee up, and step the right foot up to meet the left foot. Bring the big toes to touch, heels slightly separated. Inhale, lift up halfway, and exhale, forward fold. Stay low. Keep your right foot up and extend that left leg back this time. So we're switching, dropping the right knee down. And again, make sure that right knee, or drop the left knee down. Make sure the right knee is on top of that right ankle, and the left knee is farther behind your left hip. Keep those left toes curled under. And again, if you have your blocks, you can use them. Otherwise, fingertips or palms to the mat. And we'll take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, send the hips back over the knee. Start to straighten that front leg. Toes curl back toward your face. Exhale, hinge forward. Knee back over the ankle. Inhale forward. And then exhale, hinge back. Do this 3 more times. Inhale, coming forward. Have the chest open the entire time. Try and keep that chest up. 2 more times. Shifting back on your exhale. Inhale, coming forward. And 1 more time. Shifting back. And coming forward. Make sure you have your right knee back over that right ankle. And again, we'll lower the left hand directly below that left shoulder, either to a block or fingertips or palm to the mat. Extend the right arm out to the side, palm faces down. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, twist and turn from the navel up, raising the right arm up to the sky. Try and turn the right palm forward, pinky side edge rolls forward. Keep firming the legs in toward each other. Maybe the gaze comes up towards those right fingertips. Staying for 1 more breath. And exhale, gently releasing that right arm down. Place your blocks off to the side. Just keep them up towards the top. With the left toes curled under, lift that left knee up. Send that left foot up to meet the right foot. Big toes touch, heels separate. Inhale, lift up halfway. And exhale, forward fold. We'll come back into our chair pose. Knees bend, hips back, arms forward, palms face each other. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Well done. Just take 2 nice deep inhales here. Just recenter, recollect yourself. before we move into our final sequence, going for our pyramid pose. So again, if you have your blocks, just keep them up towards the top. It might come in handy when we go for it. Now, if pyramid pose is just a little bit too much for you today, you can just repeat what we had just done. And you can actually hold that pose. So when we're back with our hips over our knees, you can hold that pose with your front leg straight and your toes drawing back toward your face. Otherwise, come with me into our pyramid pose. So releasing the arms down to the sides, palms face forward. Draw the tailbone down, lift the frontal hip points up, take a nice deep inhale, and exhale. Come into our chair pose. Knees bend, hips back, arms come forward, palms face each other. Now bring your hands to center, stay in your chair pose. We're adding a twist. So inhale as you lengthen, and exhale, twist to your right. Keep the lower body just as it is. We're twisting just from the navel up. You can stay up, or if you'd like, release the left elbow to the outside of that right knee. Press the hands in toward each other, thumbs to the sternum. Stacking the shoulders, drawing that right shoulder back. Maybe the gaze comes up towards the sky. Try and draw that left hip back and the right hip forward. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release back to your chair pose, back to center. We got to do the other side. So we inhale as we lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left from the navel up. Again, you can stay up here, or if you want to release that right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Again, both hips firm in towards the center, but draw that right hip back. Try and stack the shoulders and draw that left shoulder back. Maybe the gaze comes up towards the sky. Send the hips back and down a little bit more. One more breath. And come back to center just for a half breath. And exhale, release down into your forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms down, step your right foot back, step your left foot back into your plank pose. Let's drop our knees down, shift our torso forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet come to the mat, hips press down, feet press down. And on your inhale, lift your head up, chest up, baby cobra. Releasing that tailbone down, drawing the elbows in, send the heart forward, ankles draw in. One more breath here. Then exhale, gently release the forehead down. Keep the knees down, curl the toes under, press yourself up into plank with the knees down, and then lift your hips up and back into your down dog. All right, moving right from our down dog, twist that right leg up to hip height. Again, flexing those right toes, pressing that right heel back. Bend the right knee into your chest, shift forward, step the right foot up to the top of the mat. So we're in our high lunge here this time. So again, if pyramid pose is a little too much for you, this is where you can drop your left knee down and repeat just what we did, and you can hold that. Half splits there. Otherwise, keep that left knee up. Have your blocks at the top of your mat ready just in case you're using them. Press your feet into the mat and inhale, lift your torso up, arms up, overhead, palms face each other. Soften your shoulders down, draw your tailbone down, lift those frontal hip points up. Kind of a slight bend in the knee. And while you're here, let's release our hands down to our hips, thumbs back, fingers forward. Again, draw your thumbs down to draw your tailbone down, and use your fingers to lift those frontal hip points up. Now keep all of that and straighten your front leg. Start here. If you feel like you're a little too wobbly, if you can't really hold your balance here, just separate your legs out a little bit wider. Sometimes that can give you more balance. But with that front leg straight, press down to the ball of that right big toe. And again, try and draw that right kneecap up to your right hip. Draw this right hip back and the left hip forward. Now we'll add our forward fold. So clasp your hands behind your back, grab opposite elbows, or hands to the lower back. Same options as we've been doing. So open the heart, draw the crown of the head towards the sky as you inhale, look up, and exhale, add your forward fold, hinging forward, keeping the heart up, chest up, hinging forward at the hips. Again, keep drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. When you come down to about halfway, you can gently release your head, slight tuck of the chin, but keep pressing down through the ball of that right big toe. Now that back heel can either lift up, or you can press that left heel back down towards the mat. Play around with it, see what works for you, but try not to rest your chest on your thigh. I know this is tough. We're here just for one more breath. Again, press down through your feet and inhale, lift your torso back up. Rebend that front knee, release your arms. Let's bring the arms back up overhead. Palms face each other. And exhale, hinge forward. Release both arms to either side of that right foot. Step the right foot back to meet the left foot in your plank pose. Drop your knees down. Shift forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift your head up, chest up, baby cobra. Exhale, gently release, forehead down. Curl the toes under, keep the knees down, press yourself up, plank pose with the knees down, and lift the hips up and back into down dog. We'll switch to the other side. So again, if you were doing your half splits with your knee down, you can switch to the other side this time. Otherwise, coming into pyramid pose, lift that left leg up, press back to that left heel, and exhale, bend the left knee, send it into your chest, and send that left foot up to the top of the mat. Come into your high lunge. Again, have your blocks ready if you might use them up at the top of your mat. Press down through your feet and inhale, lift your arms up overhead, palms face each other. Soften the shoulders down. Now release your hands to your hips. Use your thumb to draw that tailbone down, fingers to lift the frontal hip points up. You can have a slight bend in that back knee, but keep this left knee tracking over that left ankle or slightly behind. Now we have the option to, actually let's straighten the front leg first. So start to straighten the front leg, pressing down through the ball of that left big toe and drawing the left kneecap up towards that left hip. Again, if you feel a little unstable, you can separate your legs a little bit wider. Well, you'll draw the left hip back and try and draw the right hip forward. That keeps the shoulders and the pelvis neutral facing forward. Staying right here if you'd like, or the option would be to add your forward fold with your arms bound behind your back. So choose which binding you'd like. I'm going to cross my fingers here, bring my wrist to touch, send the arms down. Either option, whatever you're choosing, open up the chest, send the heart up towards the sky, crown of the head lifts up, and exhale as you hinge forward. Again, keep pressing down through the ball of that big toe. Drawing the kneecap up engages the quadricep. Once you come down to about halfway, you can have a slight tuck of the chin, releasing the head. And again, that right heel can either come up or it can press back down towards the mat. See what works for you. Try and keep your chest off your shin or off your thigh. And raise those arms up a little bit higher, drawing the elbows in. Staying for one more breath. You got it. Now press down through your feet and inhale, lift back up, bending that front knee, releasing the arms down. Bring the arms back up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hinge forward, release the arms forward and down to either side of that left foot. Send the left foot to meet the right foot. Let's drop our knees down, bring the big toes to touch, tops of the feet to the mat, and send our hips back towards our heels. Let's come into our child's pose. A much deserved rest here. So in your child's pose, your forehead can rest on your mat or a block. You can send your arms either down by the sides with the palms facing up, or the arms can stay extended forward with the palms down. Just stay for 2 or 3 nice, slow, deep breaths here. One more breath. All right, let's extend the arms forward if they're not already. Keep the palms down, lift the forearms up, lift your forehead up, start to lift your hips up, and lift your hips up so that they're on top of your knees. Once your hips are directly on top of your knees, separate your knees and your feet out to hips width distance, just kind of like in your tabletop. So keep those hips over your knees. But we'll come into puppy pose. So we keep the hips just as they are, and we'll start to walk the hands out until the chest and the forehead lowers. So it's almost like a down dog that you've lowered a little bit more on your knees. So you can gently release your forehead or your chin or maybe even your chest to the mat, depending on how open and mobile you are. But try and keep your forearms and your palms down on the mat, shoulder width distance. Should be a nice low back release. We're adding a slight back bend here. This should stay away from any pain. Again, just check in to make sure those hips are directly on tops of your knees. Just stay for one more breath here in our puppy pose. And now gently start to walk your hands back, lifting yourself back up. Come right into your tabletop and send your legs off to the sides. Come to a seat with your legs out in front of you, knees bent. So feet on the floor, grab either the shins or the thighs, or just extend your arms forward, palms face up, and we'll gently lower onto our backs. Try and lower as slowly as you can, engaging your abdominal muscles as you lower. Taking your time just to come onto your back. And once you're here, walk your feet back underneath your knees so that your heels are directly underneath your knees. Feet and knees are hips width distance. You can kind of measure, depending on the length of your arms, with your arms down by your side, your fingertips may graze the backs of your heels. At least that's how I know. That's how I've measured. But my arms might be longer than yours. Okay, so knees and feet are hips width distance, arms down to the side. We'll come in two different variations of our bridge pose. So press down through your feet. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up into your bridge pose. Now keep pressing down through your feet, engage in the muscles in your quads and your hamstrings. Spin those inner thighs in and down to keep those knees, hips width distance. Keep your gaze up towards the ceiling the entire time and draw the tailbone down towards the backs of your knees. Really lengthen the spine here rather than rounding it. Try and press your triceps gently down. Maybe lift a little bit higher for one more breath. And gently release from the top of your spine, middle of the back. Low back is the last to arrive. Stay just as you are, and we'll come into our second variation of bridge pose. So you can repeat just what we did, or if you'd like, you can clasp your hands behind your back. Same options that we've been doing before. You can either clasp your fingers together, you can grab opposite elbows. Those are the two options I would suggest. Otherwise, keep your arms out to the side and just repeat exactly what we did. So everyone start with your arms down by your sides. Take a nice deep inhale, press down through your feet. And exhale, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up into your bridge pose. Again, spin those inner thighs in and down. And now you have the option to roll your triceps under. So that now you're on your triceps and you can either clasp your fingers together, bringing the pinkies towards the mat with your arms straight, or you can grab your opposite elbows, pressing your elbows down. Wherever you are, you're still lengthening that tailbone down towards the backs of your knees, lifting the chin away from the chest and send the chest towards the chin. Stay for one more breath and release the arms if they're bound and gently start to roll down from the top of your spine again. Top, middle, and then the low back is the last to arrive. Once you lower down, bring the knees to touch, separate your feet out to the width of the mat. And you can gently let your knees rock from side to side. Just be nice and slow here. Just an easy little low back release after our back bends. All right, let's come back to center with the knees up. Separate the knees and the feet back to hips width distance, heels underneath the knees. And then draw the knees into your chest. Bring the knees and the feet to touch. Raise the shins up to parallel with the mat and keep the knees over the hips. We'll let the knees drop off to the right side. We'll come into a spinal twist here. So with the knees off to the right, extend both arms out either to a T shape or a field goal post with the palms facing up. Try and keep that left shoulder rooted. If you need to raise the knees up in order to make that happen, I'd rather you keep that left shoulder rooted. And the final option, if you'd like to turn your neck to look over those left fingertips, just make sure your knees are at least up at hip height. If they're any lower, that can sometimes cause a little more strain in your low back, and we want a nice release here in our full spinal twist. So just settle in for here for two more breaths. One more breath. Now gaze comes back up towards the sky. Bring your knees back up to center. Release your feet down just for a moment. Maybe recenter your hips. And then draw your knees back up. Shins parallel well with the mat. Knees over hips. And then let your knees fall off to the left side this time. Again, same thing here. Try and have your knees at least up at hip height. Keep that right shoulder rooted. And you can turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Let's stay here for 3 slow, deep breaths. One more deep breath here. And turn back up so your gaze is up towards the sky. Bring your knees back up to center. Let's release those feet down to the mat. We have one more little challenge here, a little bit of core engagement. So start with your arms down by your sides. Draw both knees into your chest. Now keep your right knee in, extend your left leg straight out. Hover that left heel off the mat and flex both toes. Spin that inner left thigh in and down towards your spine. And now extend both arms overhead. Cross your fingers and just extend your index finger. So you're pointing your index finger out. All the other fingers clasp. Now lift your head up, lift your forehead up. Bring your arms to the outside edge of that right thigh. And we're going to move. So now we'll draw the left knee in. Right leg extends and the arms come over to the outside of that left thigh. So keep moving on your breath. Right knee draws in, left knee draws in. So keep going back and forth. Try to keep your shoulders and the back of your head off the mat. So as you draw the knee in, the arms come to the outside of that knee. So you're drawing your navel in and down. Let's go back and forth 3 more times each way on your breath. Last little challenge for the day. Let's do one more each side. All right, gently release. Bring the bottoms of your feet back down to the mat, arms down to the sides, and just take a couple deep breaths here. You can thank whoever suggested we do a little bit of core work in class today for that fun little challenge. All right, let's hug the knees back into our chest. Separate the knees out wide. Raise the bottoms of the feet so they face up towards the sky. Try and have your ankles over your knees and come into your happy baby pose. So your hands can draw to the outsides of your thighs, outsides of your shins, or they can grab the outsides of your feet with your elbows on the insides of your knees. Try to keep your low back on the mat and just draw your knees and your feet down towards the mat. You can stay here in the center, or if you like to rock from side to side, you can do that. Just gently massaging that low back. This can feel nice, but it can be risky. You might get stuck on one side. No worries, you can always come back to the center. So just keep rocking or stay right in the center. All right, let's have everyone meet back in the center. Release the clasp of your feet or your legs. Draw your knees back in the center, in toward your chest one last time. Hug your arms around your shins. Bring your shoulders, backs of your shoulders and the back of your head up off the mat. Hug everything into a nice little egg shape. Squeeze everything in one last time. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And exhale, extend. Send the legs down long, arms overhead. Point the toes away from the body, extend the fingertips long, one last full body stretch, stretch everything, stretch, stretch, stretch. And gently release. Arms down to the sides, palms face up, legs nice and long, let the knees and the feet fall out to the side. Start to transition and settle into your final pose of practice, Shavasana pose. Use this as a time to release Notice if there's any last little bit of tension in your body. Maybe you can release your toes, soften your hips down, ease your brow, release your jaw, and you can soften your gaze or close your eyes completely. As you just allow yourself to exist on your mat, just finally release any control over the breath. Just be here. And just gently start to bring some awareness back into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes, rotate your wrists and your ankles, and switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here on your back. And now start to bend your knees in towards your chest as you gently roll over to one side of your body. Rolling onto your side, let your top arm rest on your bottom, top knee rest on your bottom knee. And stay for a breath here on your side. And now try to keep your eyes softened or your gaze closed as you use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seated position to complete your practice today. In your comfortable cross-legged seat, you can rest your palms on tops of your knees. Palms can face up, or you can bring your hands into the center of your chest. Let's all take a nice deep inhale in together. Through the mouth, exhale. Thank you for joining me for your practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me for class on this Wednesday. Congratulations. You're halfway through the week, maybe over halfway, depending on how you look at it. And yeah, had a great time in class. Again, I'm sorry if there was any trouble finding class today. YouTube just changed the way they advertise in the way you set up the classes. So if you had any issues, just let me know. Hopefully it gets streamlined out within the next couple days. Otherwise, any questions about class or anything else, you can always ask me. You can leave something in the chat, leave comments on the video, or my contact info is in the video description. As well as if you'd like to donate, that is in the description as well. Hi, Diana. Thank you for joining. Thanks for checking in. Always nice to see your name pop up there. You're definitely a consistent student, so good for you. Yeah, so next class will be Friday. It will be a level 2 class, so we'll really get deep into our pyramid pose and try some other fun things in class I have planned. So see you next time there. Otherwise, classes will be up next week. We'll start something new. So I will see you guys next time in class. Again, my name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you and peace.